The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
Welcome to 4.0 to Pro, the pickleball podcast that focuses on a single shot, tip, or strategy to improve your pickleball game with every single pocket-sized episode. Our goal is to make you better on the court every time you hear our voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 4.0 to Pro, your pocket-sized pickleball podcast. We teach you a single shot or strategy every single episode. I'm Michael O'Neill here in sunny Long Beach, California, joined by my good pal, Mircea Murariu, there in Boca Raton, Florida. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm well, and you don't know this. I kind of mentioned this to you, maybe it was yesterday, but my new official nickname for you is the Professor. I feel like that is how you should be known in pickleball, because you really are the professor.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
There's actually another guy in the National Pickleball League. His name is David George, and they call him the professor because he actually is I believe he's a tenured professor in Indiana. So I'm not sure about the tenure part, but he is a professor. And I think he teaches some at Notre Dame, but he's a really, really good player, super nice guy.
Well, Professor, we are breaking protocol on this particular episode. We never do interviews on this show. I mean, I think I've only done one single interview in the history of this show, and it was like this one, a bonus episode. But the subject of this particular interview is so profound and, to me, changes the landscape of the pickleball industry in America that I thought it would be really cool to kind of get the background version of this. So we're going to have a special guest, and today's special guest has a lot in common with me. We have very similar backgrounds in creative agencies, and this gentleman ran one of the greatest creative agencies called Creative Drive. And then right around COVID, exited that. And I feel like there's nothing, crazier than a new pickleball addict that has some expendable income and tons of time. So this gentleman said, why don't I just create the greatest venue for pickleball in America? And that is exactly what he has done with the Fort in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Tuckman. Hey, Brad, how are you, bud?
Great, Michael. How you doing? And hey, Professor, how's it going with you?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time and are excited to hear more about the Fort. So let's get into it.
I'm curious about that, Mircea. How did you originally connect with Brad in the Fort? I mean, certainly you're right down there in Boca. And before we dig into like the crazy amenities and visuals that the Fort brings to the table, can you talk a little bit about how you originally connected with Brad and the Fort in general?
Yeah. Brad and I have run across each other several times, and it's going back a year and a half, maybe more. And he I'd connected with Steve Kennedy, who's a local senior pro player who unfortunately has been injured but is coming back. And he's been a longtime pickleball legend down here in South Florida. So I met Brad, I believe, through Steve, maybe in an event, and found out the brand was developing this incredible venue. And we just kind of hit it off. He's a really nice guy, and I was super impressed with his vision. And we met several times to discuss some of the things about the fort in terms of the planning. And I was really impressed by his inquisitive nature and how important it was to him to get the details right. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But we had several really good meetings where he kind of picked my brain a little bit about some of the venues that I'd been to. And, I picked his brain a little bit about his vision, and was really impressed with the whole thing. So that's how we met.
On your end, Brad, you obviously had never created this world-class pickleball venue, but it's COVID time. You just had a nice exit from your creative company. You've started mainlining pickleball like we all have done over the last few years. All of a sudden you're like, I got pickleball, right? What was the vision for you to decide to create this master venue? Was it a lack of something in the marketplace, or was it just like, I really want a place to play?
So, I think when COVID came, we were all looking to keep busy, and it was supposed to be something I did with my wife. But I started playing with my children, and sure enough, I started meeting people on the courts. And, after working for so many years, I worked too much, and I had a hard time meeting friends that weren't in the business. So suddenly, playing pickleball, I had friends and people I looked forward to seeing every day. And it might have been COVID, but at the same time, I was meeting people I never would have met in my entire life. So I was playing pickleball every day. And, the weights, even back during COVID, you had a hockey rink, inline hockey and 6 courts, and I sat there waiting. And I said to myself, man, I got a couple of years. I'm locked up. I'm not allowed to do anything in business. I think this is the next business. So it kind of started from that. The fact that, I after having my business for my entire career, I suddenly had nothing to do, and I suddenly found a passion for something. And I wasn't going to sit idle when I felt there was a good opportunity.
Pretty interesting too, like as a creative visionary, as someone who had been immersed in that. And I think it does give you a different set of eyes when you maybe see opportunity that a lot of people don't in certain marketplaces when you're just used to that. Because I think like many of us, there was probably so many different verticals that you experienced in your 20 plus years of agency ownership that you were like, oh man, if I had nothing else to do, I would totally do that. There's like a lot of, honey in that honey pot right there.
Yeah, I would say pickleball was not on that list at that time.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's always opportunities. You could always go back to what you did before. But I think sometimes there's something exciting about doing something that you haven't done. But at the same time, you can apply your experience from the past to the business endeavor. And I think there's sometimes it's something good about getting old, and whether that's older, whether that's an excuse or not, you actually get to use your knowledge of what you've done in the past. So I felt pickleball, we're creating something that kind of wasn't done. And since I started, things have been done, which is why I was meeting with Mirtra to see what's been around. And so we can see what works, what doesn't work, all the places I went to visit. And if I didn't visit, I would find a pro that had been there so I could learn what works and what doesn't work.
Was that really the first step you took? At some point, you had a conversation with somebody and said, I'm going to really consider, making a venue. And you'd never done, I'm assuming, you'd never done anything like this in terms of having to get permits and build outs and all those kinds of things, or maybe in some capacity. But this is a big one. This is a big compound.
Yeah, I mean, I had done construction projects before, but nothing that was 10 acres and dealing with a public-private partnership. But, early in my life, I actually grew up in the outdoor amusement park and arcade world.
Oh, wow.
And I actually say there's a lot of similarities to it because you have to create a good experience for people. And that goes for any business. But if you don't create a good experience that's got a lot of reasons for people to come back and have great service and make it a great memory for people, then you don't have a good business. So I think I could apply a lot of that in the past with my business experience and apply it to this crazy sport of pickleball.
So did you start with all right, here's kind of my wish list or my bullet point list, one night having a scotch or something. Here's my vision for a pickleball compound. I'm curious about how much it evolved from that first brain dump to what you have now once you experience traveling around the country and seeing the other venues and having conversations with Mircea and the other pros around the country.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of different business models out there, and we're seeing those 9 to 12 court facilities open all over the country. Some of those have food and beverage, and some do not. What I felt, because if you look at the data out there, tennis, about 20% of all tennis is played in Florida. And my assumption was at the time that pickleball was going to follow the same path. When I believe right now 25% of all pickleball is in the Southeast, and I would argue most of that is in Florida as well. So the scalability of the business down here, I felt long-term would actually de-risk the business model. And then, from there, you start looking at what land is available or what building is available. And in South Florida, land is not cheap and buildings are not cheap to build. That led us to eventually approach the city of Fort Lauderdale, to see if they would be interested in a public-private partnership. And that takes quite some time as well. So, our vision was to build something that would be a national destination, something for locals, of course, something for the region, and then something that could put Fort Lauderdale on the map to be like the other go-to destination. And with all respect, Naples, Florida has been that. They're the OG, I think, of large facilities. And we've seen larger facilities pop up around the country. But my vision wasn't for Fort Lauderdale to be the biggest. I just wanted it to be the coolest. Someplace that I'd have fun going to every day. And I think if I had fun, then the locals, the tourists, and the regional people and the tournaments and all of that would say this is a great place.
Mircea, how soon into the process were you consulted on, some of the amenities and things that a pro might need for a tournament or, to get a little more national exposure?
Well, I think that Brad would probably be able to answer that best because, he was involved from the beginning, obviously. But I think he had been not far along in the process, but he was in the process of finalizing some plans and the footprint of courts and that type of stuff, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had our plans, which were changing up until the end. So I was trying to get with my subject matter experts and learn from everybody and see if I was right or if I was wrong. And, subtly, some things may change. Like to move a fence over 1 foot on 10 acres may seem like nothing, but it may actually change everything. So every little detail I can get out of professionals like Mircea was I'll say, I was thankful. I think I had a great lunch or two with you at some places I never would have visited before, which was interesting. Yeah. In the end, we leave with something better. I think, you can't believe your own bullshit. And you have to listen to everybody else out there and get their point of view. But in the end, you got to make the decisions that you think are right for your business. But I'm really thankful to Mircea for his assistance along the way.
What was the most?
I will say that.
Go ahead.
I will say that it was impressive that I think literally all the stuff we talked about was implemented from, the spacing of the courts, which I thought was really important for the experience because there were a number of facilities that try to pack in the number of courts. So fortunately, you had a nice chunk of land, so you were able to modify that. But even some of the larger facilities that have tried to kind of jerry rig some of the courts, they're too short on one side or the other or from front to back. And it really makes a big difference in terms of the experience. So, and the more people are there for your business model, the better it is because you also have the food and beverage component and you also have the other aspects of it where, you have some happy hour type things and some leagues and, you have the beach club, you have other amenities besides just the pickleball. So my understanding was that you wanted to make it a place where people could hang out on a Saturday for multiple hours, say watch some games on some flat screens when they're available. So I really, really liked that part of it. And I thought that was a huge part of your vision that, you guys really are putting into place when it's going to be 100% completed.
Yeah, I mean, pickleball is a social sport, and I think we built the facility so you can come and have a great tournament and have adequate space for people to watch. But at the same time, how do you utilize that same space for the other 300 and something days a year? And for us, that mattered because we always think about a tournament, but that's a slice of the business. So we really had to weigh the pros and cons of absolutely everything to try to come up with what we thought would be the perfect overall blend.
You sort of read my mind a little bit on that, Mircea. I was curious if you had conversations and then some of the things you had discussed had come to fruition. So court spacing and things like that. For you, Brad, what was the most radical, maybe in a positive way and a negative way, maybe one of each, the most radical change you had to make as you were going through this process?
I think it was more refinement. You can put a lot of courts down on the ground. It's just always a matter of, how many more can you squeeze in? Everybody in a business model, you want to put as many as you could in. And I think, getting with Mircea, I think it was subtle changes because, again, at that point I toured a lot. But those subtle changes really could have changed the dynamics more. So, like, for instance, like the walkways between the courts, Mircea and I literally talked about whether 10 feet, 12 feet, or 15 feet was enough in between them. And that's a major difference. And we actually have some main thoroughfares, I'll say, that are 15 feet. I have another one that's 12, and then I have these cross ones that are 8. So we actually used all 3, but I did change it up a little bit. So I think Mircea cost me a little bit more money in concrete and drainage.
Yeah, you can't hang out with him. He'll take you to really fancy dinners that are super expensive too. It's a whole thing how he rolls.
It's a thing. The other thing that was great was the ability to film every court and also have that data accessible to people that play there and use some AI in order to analyze games and highlights. And I thought that was a huge value add. Another thing was...
Is that built in?
Yeah, so all 43 courts are either installed or being installed or having a live video feed.
Okay.
We work with PlaySight on that. But what we've done is we've turned it into something called FortTV. So they'll be streamed all day. And then you're going to be able to go into our website and say, I want to watch a 50-year-old plus match, 4-5 men's doubles. And you'll be able to pull up the courts that are actually having that exact request.
Wow.
So in the end, I want us to be the go-to for the entire country for saying, am I that good? Am I that bad? Or I just want to watch a good game. Because listen, we all spent our time on YouTube watching matches forever, right? So my thought is, how can we get everybody to come to the Fort, watch Fort TV, and watch exactly what they want to watch? And then we married that with all of our sponsorships. So this way our sponsors have the ability to also get their eyeballs on their logo and things like that. We also have sharing capabilities and with the AI and all that stuff built into it with PlaySight. It just makes it a good experience for everybody. So we're taking a couple different technologies, we're marrying them together, and we're creating our own little streaming network.
That's so cool. I've never even heard of that before. Where did PlaySight come from? Was it baseball or a different sport that you ported over to pickleball?
No, PlaySites are been around forever. They're in the tennis world. They're at all the pro sports, like the Celtics have them and things like that. And they're a platform that's been around. They're creating having video streaming. What we've done now is we've taken their technology, married it with a back-end database, and then our membership app, and then applied some logic to it. And again, my background in marketing and retail and e-commerce. My background in marketing, retail, and e-commerce has allowed us to marry all those things together and kind of create a better user experience. Yeah,
I mean, again, that's kind of the secret sauce of this whole experience. Let's talk really quickly about it doesn't have to be really quickly, but let's talk about the amenities. You've got, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm using AI for this, 43 professional courts, including the world's first dedicated pickleball stadium, which has a 2,000 seat capacity. 14 weatherproof courts for play in any condition, 4 grandstand courts with permanent seating. You've got a 2,500 square foot pro shop. You got locker rooms, fitness and recovery center. You've got the Lakehouse restaurant offering made from scratch dishes and signature drinks, 4,000 square foot event center, food and beverage options embodying the South Florida lifestyle. Then we've got luxury suites, golf simulators, dart room, volleyball courts, paddleboarding, game yard with live music. I'm assuming that's like outdoor kind of games, cornhole and things like that. You've got FortTV streaming service, QR codes for placing food and beverage orders. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like this is a vacation destination. Like people would come here just for this.
And we're hoping even beyond that. So if you love pickleball, you're going to come and play pickleball. And if you just want to come hang out at the lake, you could come hang out at the lake. We also have beach tennis. We're going to be opening up 4 beach tennis courts, and we're going to be adding padel sometime during the year as well. So, in the end, I wouldn't necessarily say I can build this anywhere in the country. It makes sense here because of the demographic in the area, the fact that we're next to the cruise ships, which is 4.5 million cruise passengers. We're right next to the airport. You have 6 million people in South Florida, a high percentage that play pickleball. So we really built this to be what I'm hoping is the greatest place to play pickleball, or just the most fun place to hang out.
And I want to just add something that just kind of emphasizes the level of detail that went into this. So the stadium court is not yet completed, but when we did the tour, it's kind of like a C-shaped edifice on one. So the lengthwise aspect of it in terms of the pickleball court, there are windows there where people can watch. And so the windows are actually angled just slightly downward. So when the sun reflects off the windows, they don't reflect right into your face as you're on the court. So even that level of detail, and that, it seems like a small thing, but it's really not when you're on the court and you get a reflection from the sun as you're playing. It's very difficult. So that was one of the things that we had discussed in terms of the user experience, the sight lines that are often neglected. You might go to an indoor facility and it sounds great, like they painted this great colors on the walls, and then you go out there and play and you can't see the ball because the reflection of the bright paint on the wall. So that was I thought that was really cool. So I want to just highlight that.
I mean, literally just experienced that. Playing an indoor venue that they had painted the entire ceiling white, and it was difficult to get the contrast of the ball. If somebody hit a lob or something, or just above that sight line, it really made it messy. And we have a place here in LA, Brad, called Power Play Pickleball. And it's not huge. I think they have 9 or 10 courts, but they've done a fantastic job with all the colors. Everything is dark, and there's not a lot of issues with contrast and sight lines within the courts, which is huge. You guys had, correct me if I'm wrong, Mircea, I remember you mentioning something like this, where in the outdoor covered courts, one side was very difficult, and then they ended up putting some screens in. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a known potential issue, and so I'm making steps slowly. It's always been part of the plan to do it in incremental steps, because in the end, it's also outdoor, indoor, and I want to also pay attention to airflow. So you want to make it as good as it can be. At the same time, it's not indoors, so so you have to get the right balance. So we've added the extra windscreens. We've actually added today. We're actually adding more, and then we're adding exhaust fans coming up as well, with knowing that I'm most likely going to add a true black dense layer to finish it off. So it's a multi-step process. It was anticipated. I was optimistic. And I was wrong. So if you asked me one thing, I did in the entire project that is that's going to be lingering in my mind. It's that, but I will have that fixed.
It's really interesting. Where are you guys in terms of overall completeness of the? Maybe not forever, because it sounds like this is going to be an evolving process as you go. But in terms of the original vision, how close are you, restaurants and stadium and all that stuff being 100% operational?
Just before I hopped on here, they took the construction fence down the front of the stadium. So when people come by here starting today, you'll be able to see the stadium. It's painted. The courts are painted inside it, and it looks done from the outside. Done-ish. We're still putting in the permanent seating, things like that. I can't use the stadium yet outside until we have a CO for the inside. So rather than rushing it like I did, and put the stress on there, I said, listen, let's just go the normal speed. So the stadium will be open June 1st. So after June 1st, you'll be able to start getting food out of the kitchen. Our bars will open up a little bit more. We actually already have some We actually already have some inside the club going, bars and food already, but the full offering won't be till June. But you're going to be able to start playing beach tennis starting next week. The whole lakeside area is open, but right now every court, all 42 courts are open. The stadium's the 43rd. So we're making good progress.
Well, that couldn't be timed any better, Brad. And that is because, Mircea, we are officially announcing our first East Coast camp for 4.0 to Pro right there at the Fort. And that is the weekend of May 29th through the 31st. So maybe we can tickle you guys a little bit and we can get a little preview tour for that one day before the stadium opens up. But if you guys would... What's that?
I'm going to have to get on Brad.
That's right.
Pretty regularly in May, to
just give us one day. Give us one day. If you guys would like to attend this, and you should, it's truly the premier pickleball destination in the country, super close to the Fort Lauderdale airport. There's tons of hotels, and obviously you've heard everything that's great about the Fort. And we're going to give you guys an unbelievable camp experience for 3 days. Thursday is going to be the VIP day. We're only taking 4 people, in fact, 3 people, because we have one that's already signed up. So 3 people left in the VIP day where you get to spend the entire day with us. There's going to be filming. We're going to break down your games. You'll have all kinds of things to practice as you go along. And then we have 20 spots for campers for that Friday and Saturday. And we get to hang out in one of the coolest places in the country to play pickleball. If you are interested, 402p.com/camp. 402p.com/camp. Again, that is the weekend, Thursday, May 29th through Saturday, the 31st. Now, we'll probably be there. I'll probably show up on Sunday morning after, and maybe we'll have a little open play or something where we can all hang out if you guys don't have to fly out right away. But the official camp dates are Thursday through Saturday. Mircea, talk about how excited you are to have us in your backyard at this state-of-the-art facility.
I can't wait. And one of the things that we can't really, fully describe is the vibe that is at this place. And, we're not going to have a small number of courts. Obviously, Thursday we're going to have 4 people, so we're going to focus on them. But we'll be able to be on the covered courts just in case there's rain. And if it's a super nice day, then hopefully we'll get a chance to be outside. It'd be incredible if the stadium was open. But regardless of that, we'll have access to a really, really cool spot, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's all I can say. So, and people are going to get a lot out of it. Our biggest goal is to give people value and to have everyone get better and also enjoy themselves while they're doing it. So that's our goal, and we couldn't have picked a better place to, open up the camps. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
And Brad,
I'm excited.
I was going to say, Brad, you're sort of embodying "if you build it, they will come," because you're starting to get these kinds of things happening at the Fort now that it exists.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we have the space. We've been only open for 8 weeks, so I'm excited to see the progress we're making. Everything's showing good headway. But to have people like you guys come in here and bring people in from all over the country, that's exciting to see. And I'm thrilled to have you guys, even though I didn't know you were invited or even coming until just now. I'm kidding. So, but anyway, yeah. Listen, I'm excited. And, what's funny is as you're talking about this, first thing that goes to my mind is, oh, awesome. These people can leave with all the footage that they've had from being on the courts with you guys. So just little things like that I'm thinking about. I'm like, this is really cool. So if I was actually attending, I would actually be excited to leave with all the footage of everything I did right or wrong.
Well, maybe we can find a spot for you. What we need to do is then basically carbon clone the Fort in about 5 or 6 places in the country so everyone can attend as we go. But right now, it's Fort Lauderdale. It is, again, May 29th through the 31st. We could not be more excited about it. I can't wait to, I'm sure it's going to be nice and toasty in May, heading into June in South Florida. But we're going to have a great time. I forget, is there some sort of pool kind of thing, or is it at the lake, or how do you guys cool down there at the Fort?
You could go to the bar.
Ooh, I like that.
Or you can also you could also hop in. You could also hop in the lake. It's swimmable. So we also have the locker rooms you can shower off too, but it's Florida. You're going to sweat.
Yeah,
so
good.
It's just a matter of getting ready to play.
Right on. Well, Mircea, you're going to have a very busy May as well. You've got tournaments all over the place, and NPL is there. Yep. I think you're Cincinnati, you're New York. I don't know where the NPL one is, and but you'll be bouncing around a bit. Hopefully, you won't be too jet lagged. You'll be there ready to rock. I'm sure you will.
I'll be ready. Let's go.
Awesome. So one more time, May 29th through the 31st, 402p.com/camp. And you can also, I can't believe I haven't mentioned already, playthefort.com. Playthefort.com if you'd like to see all the really cool stuff that is happening over there at the fort. It's incredible. I mean, just the flyover on the website, you'll go, OMG. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you, Brad. You are a gentleman and a rock star for jumping on with us and talking about it, and really looking forward to seeing you, in a few weeks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And if you're in the South Florida area, please go check out the fort. If you're visiting, which many people do, obviously, particularly at this time of year, please get down there. You're going to love it. It's an awesome experience. It's just a great vibe.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you, Michael.
All right, guys, you have now just listened to another episode of 4.0 to Pro. As always, 402p.com. But check out our camp, 402p.com/camp. And we are really, really looking forward to seeing you guys. We'll talk to you next time. Enjoy the pickleball courts. See you later.
Thank you for listening to 4.0 to Pro. For more tips, find us on Instagram at 4.0 to Pro. If you have a pickleball question, submit it at picklehelp.com. Now, get out there and dominate. But don't forget to have fun.